A one. Okay, hello. Welcome to Johnny the Greek's Free Real Estate. This is episode 7. This week I'm joined with a really good friend of mine from multiple leagues. He's a reader of my articles. He's well known on IDP Twitter. This is Peter Randall on Twitter at Peter Patera with 2 R's. Peter, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, good to meet you in face to face. I think we've we've just mainly talked on Twitter, so
Yeah, it's always a little weird, right? Like, I mean, we've been talking on Twitter for gotta be like a couple years now, and this is the first time we've like talked.
yeah.
Yeah, it's cool though. Yeah, so I mentioned this in earlier episodes. I'm just opening up the books on this thing. Anyone I find remotely interesting / I think is a good person to do this, we're doing it. So Peter is the first of the league mates that we are doing on the show, and really good league mate. So we were in the title game of that Superflex full IDP league last year on Yahoo, and man,
Yeah.
that came right down to the end.
Yeah, it was a couple of players here or there, and I was really surprised I got that close. I think the average score through the year, I think you're quite a way ahead. But yeah, my team came good at the right time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you had Joe Burrow as one of your Superflex quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken.
And Mahomes. I had the good set, but it was
Right.
just, I think you nailed the IDP stuff more, I think.
Yeah, no, it was still super close. Came right down to the end. So yeah, I mean, you're in a lot of the leagues we run, and I assume you did the IDP Invitational too.
Yeah, I um I I lost. Well, I came in because Jonathan Taylor rested the last bye week mainly. I missed like I think I made the finals and missed that first week. All right, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it, man. He's good for a lot of points. So, all right, let me get this out of the way before I forget. Once again, this is a free fire zone, so it's very likely that a swear will escape one of our lips at some point during this show. So just keep that in mind. If there are any kids in the room, consider headphones for them or yourself. This may not be safe for work. All right, that's out of the way. So, Peter, what have you been up to this off season, man? You getting into any like best balls or anything? And how are your rookie drafts going?
Um, my rookie drafts were going really well until MFL changed all the defensive ends that I'd set my hopes and dreams on, and then and the I'm either in leagues that are sympathetic to the idea of like pure edge, or I have commissioners who are like, we do it the MFL way or else. And I was like,
Oh,
oh no. So yeah. And in one league I had the third pick and I went with Devin Lloyd, and now I have heaps of linebackers and no defensive ends. So if this had happened 2 weeks ago, I would have been a lot happier. But my other one of my other leagues, in fact that rookie draft, I pretty much got Devin Lloyd at 101 because that's how the league works. But then I got Alave at the 24th pick,
oh
and then
wow.
I got I think the third best running back in the third round. And then I got more IDP, so I was
Yeah,
pretty stoked with it.
yeah. You know what? You bring up a good point here. So last episode I did was with Macri a couple weeks ago. So that was before the MFL thing came down, and man, that has landed like not just a turd in the punch bowl, but like a full on shit in the punch bowl.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? So Daniil Hunter is a linebacker. I mean, we knew Joey Bosa was going to be, but Max Crosby too, and then Thibodeau is
Yeah.
useless now too. Like, it's a total shit show. Everyone's freaking
Oh,
out.
is Thibodeau one as well?
He is, yeah.
Oh no.
I know, man. It has not been great, but it is sparked some conversation. Yeah, how do you think you're gonna handle it in your leagues? Like, you said half your it's like split down the middle commissioner wise. Do you think you could convince them to do true position, or how do you think that'll go?
I think well, I think a lot of things are driven by self-interest. And so
Right.
if it doesn't affect people, it never really changes. So like I think one of the most vocal people in the group in one of my leagues, he lost Josh Allen and Hassan Reddick. And so I've seen his team and it's as bad as mine. So I've got an ally for next year. Like I don't think we'll change it this year, but yeah, changes are coming, I think.
I think so too. I have never seen IDP Twitter as pissed as it's been this last week. Like this is I mean these are huge league shifting changes. And I mean,
Yeah,
you could get lucky in a big play league where they're fine as a linebacker, but you're taking away 4 or 5 of the top 10 defensive ends. They're just gone now. They don't exist anymore. Like
yeah.
that's huge.
I yeah, I'm not happy. But also I'm also not happy. Like I don't think I caught that Joey Bosa was going. I didn't nobody I listened to was interested in talking about the MFL changes. And also I like last year they were predicted like months out. Like um Gary Davenport gave us like I think 2 months notice about this is what's happening. But yeah, I don't think that happened this year.
Right, right, and it was far worse this year too. Like, Danielle Hunter, Max Crosby, Josh Allen, like that's just huge change right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But all right, I guess that counts for let's talk about something relevant. But let me just ask while I got you here, what'd you think of the Super Bowl? Did you enjoy that Super Bowl?
Yeah. I I really like I go for the Broncos and Von Miller's my favorite player. So I wanted him to get another ring. I like teams that take risks and like the Rams just torpedoed their next 2 years of draft picks because they wanted a good team and I was sad for OBJ, but he gets a ring and he had a really good first half and then to get Donald to get like McVay is like such a show off, but like to be able to call, okay, we're gonna win this Super Bowl because Donald's gonna smash someone, and he did, and he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I told you guys that. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm
But
I'm 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 with you. There were a lot of guys that deserved rings there, and then Donald basically winning those 2 games, the NFC title game and the Super Bowl by himself on the
yeah,
last drives, like crazy.
and I heard like not to take away from Donald, but I heard that Von Miller had 3 of his best defensive games in the first 3 finals, which is like I think the Super Bowl 50 was in that top 4, but like just really outstanding play from this guy who's getting on in years. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, no, Von Miller had an excellent game, multi-sack game in that Super Bowl, and then what do you feel about him going to the Bills? I mean that helps them, but you gonna be rooting for him over there?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I I think I heard that he's one of the few people who's ever been paid 3 successive contracts at the price that he's got. So like it's like yes, yeah, I really like it. I
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
like how he has I like how he has his edge rusher school and he just yeah he seems to give more than he takes.
That's true. Yeah, really good guy, really great player. Yeah, definitely worth the money. That's awesome. And we'll get into the Broncos here shortly, but let's start at the beginning. So, okay, so you're over in Melbourne, I believe, right? Australia.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
the
I grew up.
Yeah, how did you start
Sorry,
watching How did you start watching football in Australia? Talk me through that.
it's really it's funny. Well, my dad was he was a church minister, and he got paid. He got funded by about 6 churches in the USA, and the church that he was part of grew to a point that they could afford to pay him themselves. So he was like, he'd never met with any of the churches that were supporting him. So he wanted to go and meet them and just say thank you, because I think they'd been supporting him maybe 10 years. So we went over to the States, and I think we saw some college games in where was it? Well, it was in Texas, but I forget which college. And then because Dad sat next to this guy who taught him the rules on the fly, we sort of started watching a bit of it. And our free-to-air network, ABC, played it like every week, just the highlights. So I think I watched some of the Bengals 49. I think the Bengals 49ers Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
I think I was like 7 or 8, and then I just lost interest. So I lost interest for like 25 years. So I got into rugby league. My home team was really good. I moved to New Zealand, got into rugby union. My home team was really good. I moved to Melbourne, and Melbourne's addicted to AFL. So I thought, I need to get into AFL. So, and my team, I picked the team who hadn't won in 72 years, and they won.
Oh,
but then Tebow came. And so I love the narrative of this guy who wasn't very good at quarterback winning in like really strange fashion. And like, how is he winning? Like he doesn't seem to be playing any of the rules. Nobody seems to think much of him, and he has this weird praying thing that he does. And
yep.
it was really weird. And then they won a playoff game, and then he lost, and his career was never happened again. But yeah, and then Peyton came, so I got lucky. I pick up these teams that like aren't going really well, and then something happens and they go really well.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, when Peyton got there, they won that Super Bowl. They went to 2, won that second one. So talk to me about Aussie rules football and rugby, because I try and watch a little bit of that if I see it on like Sky Sports or something, and it's awesome. Like both those games are wild. Like what can you tell us about that?
So I grew up in rugby league, but it's very orderly. So like gridiron, you've got 4 tackles to get 10 yards. Rugby league, you've got 6 tackles to get 100 meters. And so and the differing rule is there's offside. So you can't throw a ball forward. Nobody can be in front of you whenever you pass the ball. So it's very line versus line. But like, I think the college game could draw a lot from rugby league in things like passing, when you're about to be tackled, passing to somebody to your right. NFL has never done much of that, and it's not that hard to learn that skill. I think I've seen it in college, and occasionally in like those miracle kickoff return not kickoff returns, but like when you've only got one play in the game and you try and or the Hail Mary stuff.
Yeah.
But then AFL is amazing. It's sort of a composite of sort of basketball and soccer and netball and all sorts of sports. So, and it can be quite dangerous because players can come from 360 sides. Like most sports, where you're going to get hit, whereas there's been some classic occasions where people were just blindsided and taken out. So just like NFL, they're really trying to crack down on head injuries because there's been some serious head injuries done. And some people really don't like the rule changes because it turns it into a soft sport in their eyes. But like, it's probably better people not getting dementia. So I think,
Yeah, right. And it is not a soft sport. Anyone that's ever watched it, like they're not wearing any equipment and they're going full speed across the field and just annihilating each other. And but what I always found the most impressive with Aussie League football is their passing ability with kicks. Like these guys can kick it 55 yards on a dime right into someone else's hands. That's insane.
yeah, and not like, and they're not stationary. Like when you see it, like you don't get to see this on television. It's sort of like the all 22 version, but like when you're seeing them live, they kick it, and the guy's like 100 meters away from where the ball's going, but they just know that that's the deal. That's where they're going. It's similar to quarterback play where like we have a play and you're going to go there and I'm going to throw it. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, those are really interesting sports. There was a point where I looked into fantasy for Aussie rules football to see if I could get into it, and I couldn't find like an app or anything. There was a website that was doing it, and it was too much to figure out. But
yeah,
does that exist over there?
yeah, that was the sort of precursor to getting into fantasy football in general, because the local newspaper runs it's quite a weird one, because I've seen I think Ryan McDowell, no, one of his colleagues tried to run a league. Not, I don't think he was matching it off this, but it was the idea that anybody could really have the same team. So you could just have a budget and you could pick a team to match the budget. And in AFL, you've got to pick 40 players. Oh, no. Yeah, 40 players for $10 million. And then you can draft, it's just decided how much their value goes up and down each week. And you can trade to any player that you can afford, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
so
then
salary cap, basically. Yeah.
yeah, but and then I think they moved to a one where there was a sort of, you taked it in turns, so everybody ended up with different players. But yeah, I think I liked being against 400,000 other people and coming in at about 20,000 or something like that. That was fun.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. So okay. So how about when you're not, playing fantasy football or fantasy AFL? What do you do for a living? What's your 9 to 5 look like out there?
Um, sorry, I'm a grief counselor and a social worker. So I work 2 or 3 days a week in a palliative care team. So I help people with legal, like their will, if they've got wills, if they've got powers of attorney, if they've got advanced care plans, which is new in Australia, and I'm not, where people just document what they want in a crisis.
Right.
And then one of my favorite things in the whole world is I run a bereavement group in a sort of a restaurant where we just eat dinner once a month and just talk. And it's so fun. I started it during COVID where we were just online, sort of like on a Zoom call. And then as soon as we legally could meet again, because we're in lockdown,
Right.
we met. And it's just a really lovely group, because when newcomers come and the newcomer gets upset when they start talking, I don't have to say anything, but they say it's okay to cry. Like it's okay to cry. It's normal. Like they're really good coaches. It's so cool. And yeah, they're just a really nice, they're still finding it hard. Like I think it's 2 years later, but yeah, they're really cool. And then some of my work is we have a lot of bureaucracy. If you need money from the government, it's really hellish to get any of it. And so I help people do that. I sometimes speak at like community groups about just preparing to age. So it's a bit of a colorful job, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff, and that's that's making a difference. That's It sounds like that's the type of work that you can when you go to sleep at night, you've done a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Some days it's also a bit miserable, but most days it feels good.
Yeah, I can identify. I can identify. That's my work too.
Yeah, I
No,
thought you would.
no, no doubt. But that's awesome, man. That's really good stuff. Cool. So we're gonna kind of flip and flap a little bit back and forth on some stuff here. So you mentioned that you're a Broncos fan. What's your outlook for this season? So I mean, they got Russell Wilson, and I mean the Jerry Judy and
Sorry.
Peter's getting over COVID, by the way. So I hope I didn't smash your hippo right there, but
No, it's fine.
but yeah, what do you think? So they got Russell Wilson, but the Judy thing is not great. What do you think? Because we talked about this on Twitter like a week or two ago, and you did not sound too optimistic. But yeah, what's your take?
I don't know how good Russell will be, and so we've got sort of a really hard 12 to 17 weeks. I think we play Baltimore. I think we play Kansas City twice in the last
Oh,
4 weeks. I think we play the Chargers in the last week. So yeah, but also I don't want to come across like an arrogant Broncos fan where we're just amazing. We'll go 17-1. No, 17-0. Yeah, and also our defense, we don't have one of the best defensive coaches in the league anymore. So I don't know about Hackett. I'm probably more concerned about Hackett than Wilson. But I'd like to think we come in at 10-7. But yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
What?
feel like sorry, I feel like the AFC West will smash each other for the next 2 or 3 years, and the Bills and the NFC will just win Super Bowls. Like I just can't. I can't see four dominant teams that have to play each other twice a year, or maybe even 3 times a year in playoffs, getting anywhere.
Right. That's a great point. That is such a hard division. That's probably the hardest division in football right now. I mean, last year people were thinking maybe AFC North, NFC West, but AFC West is super duper hard. I mean, the Raiders made the playoffs and they added so much.
Yeah,
KC lost a little, but it's still KC. They're going to be excellent. The Chargers
yeah.
were right there. They were, a tie away from being in the playoffs. And then, the Broncos made moves too. So it's like, that's a bloodbath.
And KC may have lost some, but that means that they're all even and they'll all smash each other.
Right. Right. Yeah. Okay. No, I get it. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, I could see that 10-7 wild card. That'd be good, right? Playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. But also being relevant again will be nice. Like having a quarterback that can win in the clutch moments, because we probably lost 4 games on like last 5 minute errors or just getting blown out of the water.
Yeah, that's true. I
Yeah.
mean, Bridgewater was a good game manager, and Lack was, super unpredictable. But Wilson's a winner. He makes good
Yeah.
decisions. So I think I'm with you. The offense should be good. Defense, a little more suspect, maybe. Do you think Bradley Chubb finally, has a bounce back this year and shows us what he can do, or what do you think?
I, I hope so. I hope so. But he just needs to stay away from injury. He needs to get on the field. I think we're like Green Bay as well. Our special teams hasn't been the best as well. So I think we've got a couple of good kick returners. Yeah, so hopefully that'll mesh.
Yeah, you never know, right? We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So keeping with our bouncing back and forth theme here, so do you have a favorite short, funny, or interesting story from college, high school, or really anything? We're just looking for a good short story here if you got one.
I thought of even two. One,
Okay.
I did very well in a maths competition, and like I got in the top of I think I got in the top 0.03 of the country when I was in
Whoa.
eighth, ninth grade in a maths competition that everybody did, and I spelt my name wrong on the competition. So I've still got this certificate with Peeler Randall, and it's like, no, and all my friends knew. But my favorite story was I had a couple of people in my life that were bullies, and one of the chief bullies, we arrived in food economics a bit earlier than him, and there was like a half full Coke can just there. And so one of my friends just filled it with dishwashing liquid and then cradled it as if it was his, and then he put it back on the desk. And this kid went up to it and sculled it, and
Oh.
then realized it was dishwashing liquid, and then went outside and puked, and then got in trouble for leaving the classroom. And then we said, oh, it must have been somebody before us, and blamed another kid for the dishwashing liquid. It was like the perfect crime that he never knew, and he was a fairly awful person. So it was comeuppance.
I love that. I love that. And he probably crapped his brains out too with
Yeah,
dishwashing liquid. Yeah.
I'm sure he did, and I have no sympathy.
Yeah, screw that guy.
But then what was funny was in the same home economics class, I made a wedding cake, and we took a whole term to do it. And then when I'd finished it, I was taking it home, and another friend licked it. Like he grabbed it and just licked the whole thing. And this bully who we'd put dishwashing liquid in, he was really outraged. He was like, "How dare you do that?" And in my mind, I was like, well, "That's something you would do." So, so there was honor among bullies or honor among thieves.
That's wild, man. Yeah, that okay, that definitely counts. That's a good one. How many people were in this math competition, do you think?
Oh, I think it's like every at that point I thought it was every student in Australia. So it was a
Wow.
fair few. That's
That's
why I brag about it so much in every format I can. Like it's like
yeah, that's super impressive. That's that's really good.
but a lot of my teachers were like, "Why don't you actually work hard in maths, you lazy student?" I was like, "Rats."
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's got to be interesting, right? Like if it's not interesting, I'm probably not going to put a lot of effort into it. So,
No. Yeah.
so so you mentioned you've got two kids. Well, I mean, you told me off air. How old are they, and do
Yeah.
you guys have any pets?
We have endless pets. So the two children are two boys, 5 and 3. Um, then we have two cats called Bella and Fred. Now, then we have 3 dogs called Mackie, who was named after a football player in the AFL, and Toby and Nala from The Lion King. And Nala is significantly bigger than our two children, and she's a marama. She's a sort of she tries to protect sheep and penguins and any animal that you want her to protect. And then we have 11 chickens, and I can't remember all their names, but there's they've started giving these little blue eggs, which is really fun.
That's awesome. Did you guys always have the chickens, or was that something? Because a lot of people did that during COVID. That was like a trend.
Yeah, we got on that trend. So we got them during COVID, and then we're moving to a country town where we've been told that there's quite a lot of foxes. So that's why we got the Marama Nala. So it's been yeah and then we've figured out that we also need quite strong fencing and netting, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
That's
But
cool
they're
though.
really fun.
Yeah, that's
So
are you looking forward to that, moving to the country and kind of living that lifestyle?
yeah, yeah, definitely. It's actually about 7 minutes drive from my work, and we've got our 5-year-old in a school where we can walk there. So it'll be a different type of life.
That's awesome, man. That's really good stuff. And yeah, it sounds like you're planning for the chickens. And what kind of
Yeah.
cats? Short hairs, long hairs?
One almost looks Persian, but I don't think she is. She just has a really stately appearance, and she's all black. She's all black and fluffy. And then we've got one that I always wanted with white feet, and she just gallivants all around our neighborhood, and she's the one that goes after birds sometimes and mice, and yeah, she's cool. I used to walk around our block with the two dogs when we had them, and the cat would just follow me around the block without a lead, which is really cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, dude, cats are great. I love cats. We're actually going to be doing a cat themed MFL, my fantasy league this year. If you're interested, I'll send you an invite.
Yeah, definitely. That
Good.
sounds fun.
That's awesome, man. So how did I mean? So the fantasy football that makes sense. You know, your dad kind of helped get you into it, but how the hell did you get into IDP? Because for most people, that's a pretty big leap. You know what I mean?
Sorry. Well, I sort of got into IDP when I got into actual serious Dynasty. So like I was pretty much playing by myself in these ESPN leagues where everybody would draft and then disappear.
Yeah.
And so I'd be playing pretty much against myself, and I'd still lose. And so, I loved just drafting. So I think I had like 2 or 3 email addresses full of NFL.com and ESPN leagues. And that's what's become so problematic, because when I got into Dynasty, I still accrued more leagues. So I overdid it. And so I'm still winding that back a bit. But I don't know what. I think I met a guy somehow who got me into Yahoo leagues, and he's had IDP as part of it the whole time I've been playing. But then I wanted to, because ESPN was a joke, I wanted to pay for a league, because I thought if somebody else paid, they would stick around and actually play out the whole season.
Right.
And so I got into a couple of MFL leagues. One was quite expensive, so I got out of that because I just thought all of them had to be expensive. And so now I've got a good balance of. I really like contract leagues and contract leagues. But I think I don't. I think IDP was there, and I started Googling who gives advice on IDP, and then I came across IDP Nation. I came across the Read and React. And then I just put together the whole family of IDP commenters, like you guys, and who's the other one? The IDP show. I even forget what they used to be called, and it was only like 2 months ago that they changed.
Yeah, big three IDP. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I just started learning, and it seemed quite fun, and I like the nerdy stuff of like the numbers and just figuring out who's more likely to like not get their numbers, and yeah, and it gets you to follow the whole game, and I like how it stops you just focusing on the Broncos, or like. So some weeks the Broncos can win, and I can be really disappointed because my favorite leagues are lost. And then the Broncos can lose, and I can be like, "Well, I'm a champion of nearly every league I run." Yeah, so.
That's so true, man. That's the biggest difference when you've got fantasy and with IDP too. It just makes it more of a difference. Is like there could be, week 7 Thursday night football. It could be like Jets and I don't know who else is Jets and Jags or something like that. And it's just like, oh
Yeah,
God, I don't want to watch this. This is horrendous. And but it's like, oh wait a minute. I've got, Lloyd and I've got
and Mosley's going to get like 20
right.
tackles, and he's going to kill
Exactly.
someone.
Right, CJ Mosley. Jags are gonna run the ball a lot. It's gonna be great. Like, maybe I'll stream corner out of here. Like, whatever. Like, it gives you reasons to watch these horrendous games that they force upon us every now and then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
nice.
not any boring moments, but it also means that once you hit playoffs, it's like, oh man, nothing's on. I finished
That's
on my legs.
that's a great point. So that actually takes us right to our next question. So when it's not fantasy season, what do you watch? I mean, we talked about Aussie League football and rugby. Are there any other sports you watch, and what other hobbies do you have besides fantasy football?
Um, no, like I like how you speak about completely going like having far different interests in the off season. I think I'm still interested in NFL, so I probably try and listen to different guys. I really like the draft. I really liked being stuck at home during COVID because I've watched the last two drafts, and this last draft I was back at work and it was just
Oh,
terrible.
yeah.
I just got to watch none of it. Um, but like, I think walking the dog takes most of my time. I think reading picture books takes a lot of like. I really like picture books. There's some really good ones. Like they're probably some of the best artists and writers. I'm not sure how you decide to go into picture book writing instead of like like teen fiction or whatever, but there's some really good books there.
Yeah,
Um,
and you got two young kids, so I'm sure that takes up a decent chunk of time as well.
yeah, I think the things I've liked, I like music. I'm getting a bit back into that. I I used to read a lot of like fiction. I really liked reading. Um, but yeah, I think most of my interest is I follow politics. I like my Twitter is like a third fantasy football, a third current events, a third politics of both America and Australia. Um, yeah, and then I guess I like
Nice.
gardening. Yeah,
Ooh, you know what?
gardening.
I just got into that a couple of years ago, actually, and haven't been able to set up my garden yet this year because I'm kind of like deployed in Ohio until like July. But
Yeah,
yeah, I did like peppers and different like what are those called? Like sage and mint. Uh,
wow.
yeah, stuff like that. What do you grow in your garden?
Things like strawberries, like fruit trees. I've got plum trees and nectarine trees. Um, yeah, a lot of like fruits and berries. Um, yeah,
Nice, nice. That sounds pretty good. That's a fun hobby too because it's not instant gratification, right? You got to put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's a slow burn. Like you eventually get those rewards, but you have to stay on it every day. So it reinforces consistency, which
yeah.
is a good thing.
But also sometimes it's like just the enjoyment's in the doing it. Like the fact that you got 6 tomatoes a year is disappointing, but the growing's fun.
Right, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's the journey, not the destination, right?
And the dirt in your fingers and
That's it.
yeah.
That's awesome. So, all right, so switching back to IDP here. So who are some of your favorite like early IDPs? Like when you first got into it, who were the guys that you were like so excited to draft?
Um, I think people like Von Miller, and even people like when you ask this question of other people, I think they talk about people in the far distant past, and because I've started it now, they're pretty much still playing.
That's okay. That's all right.
Like
That's why I like this question, because it hits all different time periods.
like I really liked I still like Levante David. I like
Oh yeah.
Cameron Jordan. Like they've both won me leagues like in finals. They're just they produce and produce and produce. I think I've really liked Buddha Baker. I think I try and grab him in any of my leagues because he just tackles and tackles and tackles and gets chased down by DK Metcalf and just all the usual stuff. Yeah, like I think I like the Broncos, but they haven't really been IDP relevant. So like I steer well clear of them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I hear you. Broncos, not as much lately, but Justin Simmons, I always try and get him because he's pretty cheap safety and pretty damn consistent year after year. So I like him a lot. And then I feel like Patrick Surtain's going to be like excellent, especially with that division, just because everyone likes to throw the ball there. Like that's going to be a great corner this year, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, all right,
But
let me turn this around then. So, who would be on your Mount Rushmore of IDP greats then? Like, if you could only four people for a Mount Rushmore, who would it be for IDP players?
Homer pick would be DeMarcus Ware.
Nice.
I think like Kuechly or Keekly.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's been on I think everyone's so far.
He needs to be. He needs to return just as a coach or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe play run the water or something cool. Just be there. Like I think Martinez, the guy who plays for New York now and used to play for Green Bay.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Blake. Yeah. A super salad. Yep.
And then Aaron Donald, I think, is just a star.
That's funny you mentioned that. He has also been on everyone's Mount Rushmore. That's because man, he is something else, huh?
He's just dominant.
Yeah.
And I understand he's playing against two or three people every week, and everybody else plays against one, and he's like, yeah, I've just got to get past two or three people, and I'll still get to the quarterback.
And he does
or
it.
I'll just, yeah. Or I'll tire out two or three people over the course of a game, and then they'll go and sit down, and then I'll be one-on-one with the quarterback.
It really is crazy. It really is. So, what about? Are there any like guys you're taking later or sleepers that you feel like got a good feeling about this year, IDP wise?
I took Chad Muma really early, but I'll take him late if I can. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because I mean Jacksonville is probably just an injury away from him seeing like really excellent playing time in production. And who knows how that shakes out too. So I like that. It's a good stab in the dark right there.
My second team is the Colts, and so I think I'll go for Nick Cross as a safety, and hope he turns out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned from one of the podcasts that the Colts just bought athletes. Like, no, they just got these really athletic players who didn't have much of a track record in the NFL or even college sport, but they're just really athletic people. It's so fun.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely an approach, right? Like I think Jacksonville did that too with what is it, Trayvon Walker? Like that guy
Yeah,
is not even close to a finished product, but they just saw his measurables and were like, all right, let's do it. So yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, all right, that sounds good. So, all right, it's stupid early prediction time. So, I'm going to ask you, what is it, 3 4 months away from the season? Who you think might end up being number one overall for each IDP position? Starting with your linebackers. So, inside linebacker, the tackle guys. Who do you think is going to be the linebacker one, inside linebacker this year?
I think Roquan Smith, because I think the coach from Indy has moved there, and so he'll get plenty of time to be the hero, and hopefully get lots of sacks as well. And I think the Bears will be tackling a lot,
Yeah.
but hopefully not because Fields is getting smashed. But I think they'll need to tackle a lot. Um,
Yeah, I'm with you. A lot of people have said Roquan. I tend to agree. That's a super good bet. I feel like. What about like an outside linebacker, like a pass rush linebacker, like the Shaq Barretts of the world?
yeah, I think Rashan Gary will have a good year. I think Max will have a good year, even though he won't help my MFL teams. Um, yeah. Um,
Yeah, those are good picks. A lot of people have said TJ Watt. I mean, I could see that, but it's like he gets hurt so much too. Like
yeah.
it's hard for him to stay on the field. So is it Darius Smith is back again this year too? Like
In the
he's always
Vikings.
on the Vikings, right? It's very
So that'll be fun. Hunter and Zadarius Smith smashing everyone. And
oh my god.
I
Yeah.
think somebody's got, and I think they play week one. Like he goes up against Rogers weeks one. So that'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's gonna be wild. And we've kind of seen that before. Like when Everson Griffin was pretty solid a couple of years back, like when they have a twosome like that, it's painful for the other team.
Yeah. I think somebody in Atlanta needs to do good. That they haven't had any rushes and they drafted three, I think. But that's not an overall tackler.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Atlanta hasn't had a pass rush since like the Carter administration. It's been a while, definitely. So how about defensive end one? And we'll go ahead and assume that we're using like Yahoo for this, so we can include guys like Max Crosby and Danielle Hunter.
Okay. Yeah. Um, a lot of them are in cycle. Like a lot of them are in groups where they're up against, well, like they don't get much time in. So Brian Burns is the young
Ooh.
up and comer, but he's got like two or three people again. Oh, but Reddick's gone. So okay, Brian Burns. I hope will do very well. Um,
Yeah, I love that. That's a great answer. Yeah, he had a great season last year, and you're right, with no Reddick, sky's the limit. Maybe we'll see.
and they may need to rush quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. How about a defensive tackle? I mean, this one, a lot of people say the same person, but who do you think?
um, I think what's his name? Buckner, because
Ooh,
yeah, he that like the NFC South just run. No, the AFC South just run and run and run, and he's there, and so Henry will run into him, and the
I,
new guy
I
from Houston, Damian Pierce, will run into him, and he'll just tackle and tackle and tackle.
yeah, I hear you. Buckner is a solid choice too. I mean, it's usually like one of three guys. It's going to be like Donald Buckner or like Cameron Hayward, maybe Quinn and
Yeah.
Williams, but yeah, there aren't many to choose from. at defensive
Do
tackle.
do you know why Quinnen Williams has a lot of people I've heard have just unrated him since last year? Did he have a bad year? Like stats wise, he didn't seem to, but
Yeah, no, he had a fine year. The only thing that kind of worried me a little bit is his playing time was not as high as it normally
okay.
was, but he was banged up too. Like, so I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay. So how about safety? Who would you pick at safety one for this year if you had to bet right now?
Um, I want Derwin.
Okay.
He's had a year. He's well, and he's going to be running a lot because he's in the division of throwing the ball a lot all the time. But he's a year. I think he's a year from injury, so that means I like the second year off injury year. Um,
Yeah, he
yeah,
had a great year last year too. If he hadn't have missed those last like 2 or 3 games or whatever it was, like he would have been safety one by a mile. He was still, safety one in most league formats with missing those few games. Like, so, had a really good year.
so maybe I should also pick an outlier because that was too easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What do you
Um,
got? If you got an outlier, who would you take?
um, well, why don't I even go a rookie? Yeah, the Baltimore Hamilton. Let's see if he can do a year one top safety.
That would be wild. Yeah. I mean, he, obviously a hell of a player. So yeah, it could happen. That's I like that.
And he can play everywhere.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the hardest. So if you had to pick a cornerback, who do you think cornerback one would be this year?
Um, well, I think I want to go with it. I know the rules again, like rookies don't mean good corner, but like the Cowboys corner was the rookie one last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, that was
I
his. That you know what? That was his second year, but he missed most of his first year. So that kind of was like his rookie year, if we're really, really looking at it. Yeah.
Well, I'll take a random rookie and I'll go McDuffie because I think again he's in the division of throwing, and so he'll just be like thrown at.
Uh,
I,
that's
th-
it.
I
That's
think
it.
he'll play the whole game. He'll play, and he'll just be thrown at.
That's half the battle, right? You gotta be in there as much as possible and get picked on. And there you go. That's half the battle with cornerback.
And not because he's a rookie, but because he's a Kansas City rookie, and they've just had that as a weakness, and everybody will still think it's a weakness.
Right, right, absolutely. No, I'm with you. And corner is so wildly unpredictable. Like, who the hell knows? That's a hard one to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you had to guess now, who do you think's going to be in the Super Bowl and who wins?
Um, it's always hard because it's people that you want versus people that you think will get there. Like I really want Green Bay to win again, because I like Aaron Rodgers. I like, yeah, I think he needs to win another one in his career, and he's getting older. But and I think the Bills will be there as well.
Yep,
But
that's
like,
a lot of people have said that. Yeah, yeah. Go on.
but I think if the Packers fall apart completely, like their special teams did last year, then it may be somebody like
Yeah, and
the Saints. The
ooh,
Saints could do it.
okay, that's a dark horse pick. I like that. Yeah, I mean, their defense is solid, and they certainly fixed their wide receiver room in the past week or so.
and they're also playing in the NFC South, so they get Atlanta and the Panthers,
Right.
and I think Winston didn't get a fair shot with his new like reconstructed eyes. So, and the last time he was healthy, he dominated. So yeah, so the Saints.
I like that. That's a good call right there. And the Kamara news came out recently that he's probably not going to get suspended till after this season. So you get a full year of Kamara too.
Those court cases are so strange, like fitting injustice around NFL seasons.
It's insane, right? But it's something you got to monitor. Like I'm keeping an eye on Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Jerry Jeudy. Like it's wild.
And I'm not going to comment about the Watson stuff, like the ethical stuff, but just the Cleveland Brown gave him a $1 million contract this year because they thought he would be suspended and they didn't want him penalized. Right. If I was the NFL, I'd just give him a penalty any time, but it has to be after 2022. Like it has to actually mean something financially if it's going to happen. It's just so cynical.
It is, and it's it's money, right? Like they want the best product on the field, and that's all that matters. Revenue, advertising, money, butts in the seats. Like they don't give a shit. it's crazy. Oh man, but okay, I like that, and I'm with you on the Bills. I am 1,000% with you on the Bills. By the way, I think you're right. AFC West beats the hell out of each other, and then they might get 2-3 teams into the playoffs, but they're going to be pretty beat up by the time they get there. And the Bills they were so close last year. They were close the year before, and they went and added Von Miller, and they drafted that running back for depth, and found a couple of receivers. Right.
And they got the smartest cornerback. He seems so onto it.
Yeah, they got a really, really good team. So I can see that.
I don't know the minutiae of the law, like in NFL, and so to hear after the overtime loss that if the Bills had done their kickoff and had it end in the field of play, that would have wasted 10 or 15 seconds off the clock. And to find out that they didn't do that, knowing that rule, was just crazy. There's some really crazy stuff in the NFL where people make decisions that are just really poorly thought out. Like they're $1 million franchises, and they just make these like idiotic decisions.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yeah, they could have squib kicked that, and that would have killed that clock and given KC way less time to work with. And then the Chargers too, one of your division rivals. How many dumb decisions did they make last year that cost them a shot at the playoffs? Like unbelievable.
It's almost like you just need somebody to be the position of not making dumb decisions. That's like their role. Like, no, don't do that. Yeah. And they can do it, just throw a veto towel at any time. Like, stop that.
A veto. I love that. A veto towel. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. So we're going to shift gears a little bit here. So what are some of your favorite movies and TV shows?
My favorite movie of all time was Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3, which is like the cheesiest horror. Have you seen it?
I've seen the Army of the Deads. Yeah.
Cool. It's so awesome. So many cool lines. I really liked horror movies. And then I liked all the Quentin Tarantino movies.
Oh yeah.
All the movies that I watched when I was young that I wasn't allowed, and teachers would steal our videos when we watched them at school, like sneakily. But the greatest one is. Are you familiar with John Woo, or have you seen things like Broken Arrow?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, before he came to America or Hollywood, he was a really cool shoot 'em up movie maker in Hong Kong. And so there's a couple of movies called A Better Tomorrow 2 and The Killers that's just so classy. It's like choreographed shooting. It's so fun. It's almost playful. And like I think I better no the I think the killers was these three guys who went into a house full of the mafia or whatever gangsters are in Hong Kong, and just shot them all up. And it was so fun. It wasn't overly violent, but it was just choreographed, like flying backwards down the stairs, shooting. Yeah, it was amazing.
That
I
that's
I got.
that
Sorry.
sounds awesome. No, that sounds awesome. Where could you even find that right now? Amazon or something or?
Oh, definitely. We used to hit up the local video store, but yeah, John Woo was just an amazing artist. And so, like, I come from a family that we didn't have guns. Like, my dad grew up with guns, but we never had them. I've shot a gun, but I'm sort of a peace loving. But like, I really love violence in movies. It's so fun.
Hey, I could get behind that, right? It's a movie. It's supposed to be an escape, and
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. What about TV? What are you watching for TV?
Um, Things like I really liked Lucifer. I really like I I I grew up not really being allowed to watch things like Seinfeld. We every time we lobbied our parents on like, can we just watch one episode to see if it's good? And then it would be the one where they like refrain from wanking for like the whole episode. And so my parents were like, "You are not watching this. This is the devil's work." And so, but like for some reason they like The Simpsons, so I love The Simpsons, and I fashioned my personality on Homer because he's so classy. But
That's
like I haven't seen The Office. I feel like I've been living under a rock, so I haven't seen enough of it. I need to watch it. But I really like things like Lucifer. I like the Queen of the South, which is this lady that takes on all the drug running in South America. Yeah, just we have Netflix, so we just watch a series. We've just finished a series of like these three Korean women who are 39, just thinking about their lives, and then one of them gets cancer, and they just try and help her be the happiest terminally ill person in the world. And
oh
yeah, that
wow.
was. I'm really sad. It was 12 episodes, and I'm really sad it's over. But yeah, I try and watch stuff that's like um, I sometimes watch stuff that makes me cry because I can't cry at work, and my work should make me cry. So I
Right.
need TV to make me cry. So yeah,
Well,
I rarely watch things like Pirates of the Caribbean or like action movies. I just tend to watch story narrative stuff.
yeah, well, I mean, that's what a good movie or a good TV show should do is move you emotionally somehow. You know what I mean? Like the best
Yeah,
ones do that. Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome. Okay, that's a solid list. What would you Okay, so I'm assuming Australia has some version of the lotto, the lottery, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, what would you do if you won that tomorrow with the rest of your life?
Hmm. Of yeah.
It's a deep question, I
I
know.
think yeah, no, definitely. And I sort of don't want to come across as less selfish than I probably would be. So I think chickens would be on the agenda.
More chickens.
Uh, yeah, more chickens. I, I think I would have. I've always said that I would ask for help, just because I don't think I would do a good job of spending $1 million. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I would get value for it. I don't think I would make many wise decisions without chatting to someone. And part of me would like to be in like a property tycoon, but like give property to people below the rate, like the local rates or something like that.
Yeah,
But
so it would be more. It sounds like it would be more of what you already got going on. Just doing good things with it. You wouldn't be the type that would be drowning in strippers and Lamborghinis. It would be, help people, with property, the less fortunate, whatever, things like that. Good things.
yeah, but again, I want to visualize what I would actually do. And so some of it probably would be for others, and some of it would be a trip to France, maybe, or something nice.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would stop. I've thought about whether I'd stop work, and I don't think I would stop work with $1 million. I think I like what I do, and yeah.
Plus, we'd go crazy, right? Like, what would you do with all the time if you weren't, that's a lot of hours to fill each week.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think it's easier to spend $1 million if you're not working. Whereas we can only buy so many chickens if we're only free on weekends.
That's true. That it would put a cap on the chickens. That is true.
Yeah, or at least the cap on the time that could be spent buying chickens. Yeah. But like housing is terrible in Australia. Like housing is really hard to have, and so it'd be nice to have just a couple of properties where, okay, you can live there, and we'll just charge half or a quarter of the rent but you take care of it. So
yeah, no, I hear you. It's the same deal here. The housing market is an absolute dumpster fire right now. It's not great. Yeah, it sounds like it's everywhere.
yeah.
All right, so I got one for you. If you could time travel and see any one event in history, it could be personal, it could be, historical, global, whatever, what would it be and why?
I've been thinking about that question because I've heard other people ask it, and I've just come up with this. I'd really like to see how the pyramids were made.
Kyle said that too.
I didn't. Sorry, I missed that one.
No. That's because it is super interesting, right? Because it leads to a bunch of other questions, like how the hell did they do that? And it's not like, never mind the heavy lifting, mathematically, geometrically, how did they get it so exact? Like, there's a lot to answer there.
Well, that wasn't the original take I was going for. I'm going to go back and listen to Kyle's.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So pyramids. Okay, give me one other historical event.
I think in Australia there was this really cool. Well, he was a criminal, but we all believe in him, and he was a bushranger called Ned Kelly, and that it would have been cool to watch his last stand, but or maybe even just his career. It would have been nice to know what actually happened and whether the myth is anything like what actually happened.
Yeah,
he had armor. He had armor that he made out of steel, wrought steel. It was like a gigantic garbage tin that he wore on his head, and he was shot quite a lot, and it didn't matter because it was just protective. And then they started shooting his feet, and so that was it.
Whoa! So this guy was like yeah. Tell me. Let's talk about this for a minute. Who is this guy? And what happened?
They were like people who robbed stagecoaches in the US. So they were bushrangers, but a lot of them I think were up against fairly corrupt police, and so they weren't always just out to get money. They were usually defending themselves. But Australia sort of see him as like a national hero almost. We've got we're always trying to change our national anthem, and one of the national anthems that we could have is a song about a guy who stole sheep, and instead of being arrested, threw himself into a lake and died. So like that, there's a whole lot of Australians who would love that as our national anthem, but it's probably not the right spirit.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, you guys do have a super interesting country. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, that's a great answer. I love that. All right. Do you think that there's intelligent or alien life in the universe beyond us?
I'll tell you a story. Like I went to two. I used to hang out in New Zealand with a first 15 rugby team, or like a lot of them. They were just part of a youth group I was in, and we went to two movies. And I was terrified in what was it?
Maybe War of the
The
Worlds.
Exorcist.
Oh, The
Sorry,
Exorcist. Okay. Yep.
I was terrified in The Exorcist. And then we went to the Signs movie, and
Ooh.
these kids were terrified of the aliens. And I couldn't care less about that movie. I liked it as a movie, but I was never scared. Whereas The Exorcist, I was terrified of. And so I think I'm more I'm more aware of the spirit world, like where people are still around when they die, giving comfort or just showing up places. I think like I'm much more onto that, and I'm open to even evil stuff being in the background. But yeah, I'm not really across alien life form. I've just I haven't really looked into it, but I've not really seen it. Or yeah,
What
like
that's interesting because I was kind of like the reverse of that a few years ago. I was like all about like, oh yeah, aliens are visiting, they're probing our butts, all that. And but I didn't believe in the spirit world. But I mentioned this in one of the other episodes. There was this paranormal investigation this guy Orlando Ferreira did and showed us his evidence at this Elks Club in Connecticut. And I walked in a non-believer. I walked out 2 hours later a complete and total believer. This guy had evidence EVPs, you know, the electronic voice phenomenons. He had IR video of something they caught in like this little kid's room. He had stories, witnesses, like the whole 9 yards. I walked out of there. I was like, okay, yeah, there's something. It definitely exists. You ever had any experiences like that with like paranormal phenomenon or anything like that?
I just the sort of like all my clients, a lot of them talk about sensing their loved ones, or finding things that they've been looking for that they believe their partners just put somewhere obvious. Yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't had an experience by myself, but I believe a lot of people that I talk to. And I'm not anti-alien either. I just haven't heard it or read it, or I haven't really known many people who've been strong on that they're around.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Okay, so how about this? So favorite football memory and favorite non-football memory. What do you got for that?
My favorite football memory was Cam Newton looking mystified when Miller smashed him a second time, and he was so mystified that he didn't get the ball, and one of our guys did, and then we got another touchdown. That was fun.
That was
because
a great memory.
It was the first Super Bowl I'd ever took in a day off work, went to a restaurant and watched it with a friend, and it was just really fun.
That was such a fun Super Bowl. For many reasons. The Patriots weren't there. That was a reason. Because you guys took them out in the AFC title game the week before on that incomplete 2-point conversion. I still remember that like it was yesterday. And then the Panthers were so goddamn annoying that whole season with the group photos.
And that's so good.
Yeah, and the taunting and the running up the score, and then they just got their asses handed to them, and it was so beautiful.
Yeah. And they just kept on getting sacks and interceptions, and they were against Peyton Manning, like the elderly. Not, yeah, he wasn't very good.
Yeah, he did enough though. I think he had a 2-point conversion he got, and he didn't turn the ball over. He did a good enough job, but
Yeah,
but the defense was out of its mind that game. That was wild.
yeah. And
Nice.
also Peyton Manning won the. I think Peyton Manning won the Patriots game. Like he put
He
up
did.
two quarter, like two touchdowns in the first quarter, I think, to get that game started.
Yeah, yeah, no, he did what it took to get him there, no doubt. How
Hmm.
about favorite non-football memory?
Um,
Everyone
I
always
think.
says getting married, having kids. You can answer whatever you want, though. I don't think your wife is going to watch this, so you could say what you want, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I think maybe it's a cat related story.
Okay.
So like, so I'd been dating Shy for quite a while, and I would just tell her that I loved her, and she would tell me that she liked me for like probably 7 or 8 months. And I was like, oh man. And then like I agreed to get two cats and we would share them. And I was like, I was on the phone to the vets and I was like, uh, um, yeah, we need to book in for a cat, like for you to see our cats. And me and my and then she said girlfriend, and I was like yes. And so the two cats brought us together, so that was nice.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I
Uh,
would have shared a birthing story, but your last podcast had one of them, and I think that's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's who is it? Josh out of Big Three or IDP show said it was like a horrendous experience, and or maybe it was Macri. I don't know. Someone said that it's kind of traumatic to watch birthing. So yeah. All right.
But I
Good.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I there have been other things like I really liked traveling. I really liked I did like the births. But yeah,
Yeah. No,
not
that's a good answer though. I like that. So what's I mean, you've obviously got, a pretty hard profession in general, but what's something hard you've overcome in life and what'd you learn from it?
um like my wife's mum died probably 5 years ago now, and she and also I she got sick, so we went to Singapore, and then um, I came back to take care of the dogs and cats and do work, and then she died just after I got back, and I made the stupid decision not to just go back because I thought, why don't I go back once you've been there for a couple of weeks, and like, and then I would bring you home after like and stay a week or something like that. And I thought that was just a dumb idea. Like I think like it would have been impractical to go back, but I should have gone back. Like yeah, work needs to come fairly late in the like it needs to be a fairly low priority. And yeah, I think but like that I think her death's really affected our family just because um I think living away from home was really hard on my wife, and we just our first was 4 months old when she died, and yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know.
So,
What I've learnt is I should have gone back to Singapore immediately, or I shouldn't have left Singapore. I should have just made got somebody else to look after the cats and dogs. Um, Sometimes practicality, and I'm very practical. practicality just needs to be chucked.
That's a great lesson. That's a good point. And it's, it's work to live, not live to work, right? Like I think we all fall into that trap. I'm worried about what work is going to think. What does work need? Where it's, it's just a job, it's just a career, like family, life. Those are the important things.
And also, sometimes I think I just convinced myself, oh no, she'll get better because that's convenient. Something like that fits my plan. And yeah, that's a lame way to do it.
Yeah. No, that's a solid lesson right there, man. Yeah. All right, so this is something that Z-Mags wanted to throw in here, and I like it. It's a good suggestion. It kind of brings us up out of the Debbie Downerness of the last question. So, do you have any last words you would shout if you were about to go out in a blaze of glory?
Wow.
I know that's a tough one. I don't even have an answer, to be honest with you.
Because, like, if you'd asked me what's some wisdom that I would like to pass on to a stranger, I'd have that in spades. But, like, you don't want to just give out wisdom in a blaze of glory. You want to, like, be triumphant or, like, you guys suck or take this job and shove it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that then. So we're gonna take your answer as take this whatever it is and shove it. But yeah, what would be a piece of advice you would give to a stranger?
Like, all my job in bereavement counseling is to tell people that, sorry, this might be Debbie Downer, but, like, it's important that, like, you have the right to grieve. Like, in Australia, we get 3 days bereavement leave, and people think that after the funeral that you just stop grieving. But, like, if you've had a sacred relationship for between 5 and 40 years, to think that you'll not grieve several days later is mythical. Like, it's a whole life. Like, it's a whole life, and grief lasts a whole life if it's done right. It's not as intense for a whole life, but, like, there's a great quote, and it's the cost, like, grief is the cost of love, sort of thing. So that if you love and care for anybody, if they die, you'll grieve, and you should. So anyway, so
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No, that's beautiful.
I think a grief. The way to avoid grief is to care about nothing. So things like to not prioritize anything. Just yeah. But yeah.
Right, and you can't, and you're not living a happy, fulfilling life if that's your approach. Is just I don't care about anything.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's some good wisdom right there. I like that. Okie dokie. So we're gonna do the hot water segment, and then we'll wrap up here. So this next segment is designed to perhaps piss some people off. We shall see. So, what's your favorite platform and why? So for fantasy,
it was MFL until, like, Wednesday, and then no.
That's what I mean. It's gonna piss people off.
So I think it's back to Yahoo, because they're good old trustworthy Yahoo. I wish I'd got into RSO, but, like, my dance card was full of other, like, fantasy platforms before I was really asked to go on it, and I was like, too much. But if I'd started on RSO, I'd probably like it.
Yeah, and they're having similar problems too. I saw on Twitter earlier today. They're they Thibodeau, same deal, linebacker. Some similar stuff going on there, and their fix was like they're going to add a setting so that you can go in and manually tweak the positions. Which you could do that on MFL too, but it's just like what you said earlier. You might have some commissioners that are like, well, MFL says this guy's a linebacker, so he's a linebacker. And it's like that just causes more argument.
Because it's like some commissioners are really quite
hard. Like a lot of commissioners are hardworking, but you don't want to make them have to reinvent the wheel every year. Like then there needs to be some leadership. Like MFL has on their site, we don't recommend you use our position choices. Like that's a cop out. Like you can't write that. Like you can't opt out of providing a position anyway. I'm not a fan of Sleeper. I'm in Sleeper, but I don't particularly like it. I like Yahoo just because of the guys I'm in Yahoo leagues with. Yeah, but MFL is where all most of my meaningful leagues are.
Yep, no, I'm with you. So for redraft, Yahoo does it the best, no doubt. It's straightforward, easy. You can do it on your phone. It's got full IDP. They've got so much good stuff. And then yeah, MFL for Dynasty definitely. Because I think they'll fix this. I think they'll fix this. Enough people are pissed off that I think they'll fix it. So while I got you here, I did throw you an invite to a league idea that I had for this upcoming season that I stole from, I don't know if you know Lamont on Twitter.
Maybe
yeah, he's floating around. One of the IDP dudes is just out there, but he had this free agency frenzy idea, which was basically like a super flex league with IDP, but only a couple bench spots, and it just forces you to make difficult decisions. I took that idea and I've created a league called Free Agent Circus Clown Show or something like that, and there are 0 bench spots, 0 IR spots, and it's full super flex, full IDP. So it's gonna make you, it's gonna be painful. There'll be weeks where it's like, do I drop my quarterback to put in another quarterback, or do I just let them sit on bye for the week? Like it's supposed to be super duper painful and cause you to like really think hard. So I did throw you an invite to that yesterday. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but that's on Yahoo. So that's, I'm a huge fan of that site too. So all right, so that's a good go ahead.
The one I'm in with you on Yahoo doesn't have much bench spots, does it?
No, only like 8 or 9. But
okay. That's funny.
Yeah, that's that just because I think they top out at like 43 total slots or something. Yahoo's not perfect, but for redraft, it's definitely solid for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So when typically when you're drafting like a normal league with IDP, what's your typical strategy? Are you like a go get linebacker first guy? Are you a go get defensive line first guy? Like all things being equal, what's your normal approach?
I think because of the guys that I listen to, I can't take linebackers first, and I can't ever take cornerbacks. So I take I aim for a top 10 defensive lineman, but often when I listen to the podcast and they say punt the position, I often find that I punt the position too much, and then I end up with like no safeties. So I really need to take context into I need to understand what's meant often, because you still do need safeties at some point.
Right. And I mean,
so I
yeah, no, you've made your defense on that team last year in the title game was excellent, like super good. So, you clearly, do a good job, but I hear you. It could be tough to figure out the middle ground, right?
Yeah. I'm not a very good trader, so I need defensive ends and tight ends in the draft, or I struggle to ever find them. So I don't want to trade for defensive ends.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah. Okay. And what are your thoughts on fantasy Twitter? So, I mean, I know you said your Twitter is not, for a lot of us, it's all just fantasy football. Not for me. Especially now, it's like as much cat content as I can possibly find. I'm looking for that. I don't want to hear about football right now. But you said yours is like a third football, a third politics, a third real world events. What are your thoughts on the fantasy side of that, fantasy Twitter, with all the stuff that happens there? Like, what's your take on fantasy Twitter?
I think I skirt the edges of true fantasy Twitter. Like, I follow. I think I generally follow kind people. so like I don't have a lot of the material that's like slamming people or I think it feels more collegial in what I read. A lot of people putting out free content or reasonably priced content. A lot of people fairly like. I've been surprised at how quickly people respond to me just direct messaging them. Like people who I wouldn't have thought check their emails, like that sort of stuff, and people give really well considered answers to. Like I'm still quite new, and I'm asking what could be quite basic questions, and a range of people have just said, "Oh, blah 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 blah," oh, and ask anything you want. So it's really nice. Like I've like there's not many communities that like I like community. I like that feeling, and I've found it quite welcoming and comfortable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think if you're talking to the right people, then yeah, it's everyone just wants to help everyone. Like my favorite thing, especially in season, is just like the little strategy session DMs. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I've got these 3 corners are available on waivers. What do you think this week? And it's just kind of like a brainstorming session. Like that stuff's fun. I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah. It seems a really generous space.
Yeah, that definitely can be. So, all right, sir, we're pretty much at the end here. Just a couple more. So, is there anything that you want to say? Anything that you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about? The floor is yours.
No, thanks for having me on. I think when you're interviewing others, I'm not sure. I didn't feel up to saying to you, "Can I be one of the interviewers?" but like as you're asking questions, I was like, "Oh, I wonder how I'd answer that question."
Yeah, no, I mean, so here you can see this. You're on camera. So right down here is the list that I created like 2 months ago, and you were on that list.
Cool.
Yeah, my I just wanted to talk to people that I enjoy talking to on Twitter, I think are interesting, and that's the whole idea behind this is just get to know everyone a little bit better and kill the time before week 1. That's it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the others. It's really been fun, and the areas of conversation have gone everywhere, which is nice.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. Definitely appreciate it. So, all right, we'll get you out of here on this. So, first of all, is there road rage in Australia?
After COVID, it was worse than ever because nobody had driven for like months, and they just came out and they were just like, "I don't want to stay at a red light. I'm just gonna duck around you." Like it's really bad.
And do you think that a significant portion of that road rage might be related to someone having to go poop?
Yes, sometimes.
Awesome.
I guess the speed that they did, very likely.
Right. See, I am a firm believer that most road rage is poop related, but some people don't agree with me. So that's my final question. Peter, thank you, sir. He is on Twitter at Peter Patera, and so it's regular Peter and then PETERRA. That's Peter Randall. Thank you for coming on, my man.
No worries. See you later.
All right. We'll see you guys next Monday in the morning. Have a good week.